The awakening the year was 2347, and humanity had never felt smaller. In the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, Earth's ambassador stood alone while the Draxian commander delivered his ultimatum. His voice echoed through the vast hall, each word a hammer blow to human pride. "You have 7 planetary rotations to surrender mining rights to your asteroid belt," the Draxian said, his 4 eyes gleaming with amusement. "Refuse, and we will take them by force." The other council members, the Vorian traders, the Kelter war masters, the ancient Theros observers, said nothing. Earth was a minor power, barely worth noticing. 40 outdated defense ships against an empire that commanded thousands. The mathematics of it were simple, brutal, and final. The ambassador returned to Earth with the news. In the command center beneath Geneva, military leaders gathered around holographic displays showing their pathetic fleet. General Hayes stared at the numbers and felt the weight of inevitable defeat. "We cannot win this fight," Admiral Rodriguez said quietly. "We should negotiate what?" Hayes replied, "They are not asking, they are taking." 3 days later, something changed everything. A construction crew in the Sahara Desert was building a new solar farm when their drilling equipment suddenly broke through empty space. The machinery tumbled into darkness, and the crew chief peered down into a hole that should not exist. His flashlight beam disappeared into the void below, swallowed by something vast. Within hours, military units surrounded the site. Engineers descended on cables going down through 3 kilometers of earth and rock until they reached the bottom. What they found made no sense. A chamber. Massive beyond comprehension. And inside it, sitting in perfect silence, was a starship. Not an alien vessel. Human. The design was unmistakably Earth technology, but evolved, perfected, impossibly advanced. The ship stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull a dark metal that seemed to drink the light. Systems dormant but preserved, waiting. "Get me the identification codes," Hayes ordered when he arrived at the site. The lead engineer worked frantically at an access panel. "Sir, I have something. Ship's designation. Atlas. Construction date." He stopped, reading the numbers twice. "Sir, this says it was built 200 years ago." "Impossible. There are logs here, sealed files. It says this was Project Horizon, a global initiative. They built this ship and 6 others like it, then buried them." "Why?" "Political collapse. The unified government fell apart. The project was classified beyond top secret and then forgotten." Hayes felt something cold settle in his stomach. 200 years ago, someone had seen this coming. Someone had prepared. "Can we activate it?" he asked. "The logs say yes. Everything was designed for long-term preservation. It should wake up." The engineer looked at Hayes with wide eyes. "Sir, the technology in this thing. It is 50 years ahead of anything the Draxians have. Maybe more." Hayes made the call directly to the president. The conversation lasted less than 3 minutes. "Wake it up," came the order. For 5 days, engineers worked in shifts that never ended. The Atlas responded to their commands like a sleeping giant opening its eyes. Systems came online one by one. Power cores that used principles Earth scientists were still trying to understand. Weapons that made their current arsenal look like stone axes. Shield technology that bent space itself. On the 6th day, as Draxian warships gathered in orbit to enforce their ultimatum, Hayes gave the final command. Sahara Desert erupted. Sand and stone exploded upward as the massive ship tore free from its ancient grave. It rose on pillars of blue fire, accelerating toward the sky with impossible grace for something so large. Seismic sensors around the globe registered the disturbance. The thunder of its passage could be heard 100 kilometers away. In orbit, the Draxian fleet commander was reviewing his attack formation when every sensor on his flagship began screaming alerts. Energy signature detected. Massive. Unknown origin. The Atlas broke through Earth's atmosphere in a cascade of light. It emerged into space like a rising moon, dwarfing the Draxian battle group. Every ship, every station, every satellite in the solar system detected it simultaneously. The Draxian commander stared at his screens. His weapons officer tried to establish target lock and failed. Tried again, failed again. "Commander," the officer said, his voice shaking. "Target lock impossible. Unknown interference. Sir, I cannot read this ship at all." The Atlas hung in space above Earth, silent and waiting. Its communication systems activated, broadcasting on all galactic frequencies. In the Geneva Command Center, A single message appeared on Hayes's screen. All systems operational, awaiting orders. Across the galaxy in 100 different systems, military intelligence officers began analyzing the signal. Could not exist. A technology that rewrote the rules. The Draxian commander opened a channel to his superiors. His hands were shaking as he delivered his report. And deep in space, where the major powers maintained their secret listening posts, weapons analysts worked through the night trying to understand what Earth had just revealed. One by one, their reports reached the same conclusion: everything had changed. The silence, the Draxian fleet held position for exactly 4 hours. Their commander sent 3 separate demands for identification, each one less confident than the last. The Atlas did not respond. It simply remained there, hanging in the darkness above Earth like a sword waiting to fall. More ships arrived. The Vorian Trade Confederation sent observers. The Kelter Dominion dispatched 2 battle groups. Even the mysterious Theros, who rarely involved themselves in galactic affairs, sent a monitoring vessel. Everyone wanted to see the impossible human ship. The Atlas remained silent. Watching, waiting. In the Galactic Council chambers, an emergency session descended into chaos. The Draxian ambassador demanded explanations. Where had this technology come from? Why had Earth hidden such capabilities? What else were the humans concealing? Earth's ambassador, the same man who had been humiliated days before, stood calmly at the podium. We hid nothing. We simply forgot what our ancestors built. But we remember now. Intelligence agencies across 100 worlds began pulling ancient archives. Some found references in old databases, fragments of intercepted transmissions from Earth 2 centuries past, mentions of horizon projects and contingency preparations. Most had dismissed these as human paranoia. Now those fragments took on terrifying new meaning. The Kelter Dominion decided to act. They had not built their empire through caution. 3 of their heavy cruisers broke formation and moved toward the Atlas, broadcasting on all frequencies. Human vessel, you will vacate this orbital space immediately. This sector falls under Kelter security protocols. Failure to comply will result in forced removal. The Atlas did not move. This is your final warning. The Kelter commander transmitted. He was a veteran of 30 campaigns, decorated for aggressive action. He had never encountered a threat he could not eliminate. The Atlas remained motionless. Open fire, the commander ordered. 3 heavy cruisers unleashed their main batteries simultaneously. Plasma torpedoes and particle beams, enough firepower to crack a moon. The weapons struck the Atlas shields and simply disappeared, absorbed without even a flicker of energy discharge. In the Geneva Command Center, General Hayes watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. They had to test us. Now we respond. Weapons fire solution on the Kelter ships. Disable only. Do not destroy. Yes, sir. A single turret on the Atlas's starboard side rotated with mechanical precision. It fired once. A beam of coherent energy, blue-white and impossibly focused, lanced across the void. It passed through the first Kelter cruiser from bow to stern. Then the second, then the third. That beam did not explode the ships. It did something worse. Every system on all 3 vessels simply stopped. Power cores went dark. Life support switched to emergency batteries. Weapons, shields, engines, all dead. The cruisers drifted helpless and intact, their crews alive but utterly defeated. Kelter vessels, this is Earth Command. Hayes transmitted on open channels. Your crews are unharmed. Repair ships may retrieve. Earth seeks no conflict, but we will not be threatened again. The message went out on every frequency, translated into every major galactic language, and then Hayes gave another order, one that had been prepared carefully. Activate the sensor demonstration. The Atlas's scanning systems engaged at full power. Across 20 light-years, every military vessel, every hidden outpost, every supposedly secret fleet position was suddenly illuminated. The Atlas broadcast the complete tactical map on open channels for exactly 10 seconds, then shut down the transmission. In those 10 seconds, every major power realized the same terrifying truth. Earth had been watching them. The humans knew where everyone's forces were positioned. Every ambush point, every hidden reserve, every classified military installation within 20 light-years. Earth had seen it all. The Draxian fleet began a slow withdrawal. The Kelter battle groups held position but issued no further threats. The Vorian observers transmitted requests for diplomatic discussions. Even the Theros vessel moved to a more respectful distance. Then Earth's president addressed the galaxy directly, her message broadcast from the Atlas itself. For 50 years, we have been dismissed as weak. We accepted this because we chose peace over power, but our ancestors knew that peace without strength is merely waiting for conquest. They prepared for this day. They built 7 vessels like the Atlas and buried them, hoping they would never be needed. She paused, letting that number sink in. 7. Today we have confirmed the location of the remaining 6 carriers. All are intact. All are functional. The transmission ended. In command centers across the galaxy, military analysts process this information with growing dread. 7 supercarriers, each one apparently superior to anything in the known galaxy. For 3 days, Earth's diplomatic channels received no messages. No threats, no demands, no aggressive posturing. Nothing. The galactic powers had gone completely silent, calculating, reassessing, understanding that the balance of power had shifted in ways they could not yet fully comprehend. General Hayes stood in the command center, looking at the tactical display. Empty communication cues, no hostile movements. Just silence. "Sir," Admiral Rodriguez said quietly, "what do we do now?" Hayes considered the question. The Atlas hung in orbit above them, a weapon powerful enough to conquer, a tool that could make Earth the dominant force in the galaxy. The choice of what humanity would become rested in their hands. "Now," Hayes said, "we decide who we are." The new balance the historians found the truth in archived databases that had been sealed for 2 centuries. Dr. Ellen Park stood in the Geneva Command Center, presenting her findings to the assembled military and civilian leadership. Project Horizon began in 2147, she explained, holographic documents floating around her. Earth had just developed faster than light travel. Our first deep space probes returned with troubling data, evidence of multiple spacefaring civilizations, many of them aggressively expansionist. The governments of Earth did something unprecedented. They unified completely. Every nation contributed resources to a single goal: ensure humanity's survival. She pulled up schematics of the Atlas and its sister ships. They built 7 supercarriers using experimental technology that our best scientists were developing. Quantum shield generators, dimensional jump drives, energy weapons based on principles we still don't fully understand. Then, when the unified government collapsed due to internal political conflicts, the project was buried. Literally. The builders left detailed activation protocols, sealed in multiple locations with a simple instruction: when humanity needs us, we will be ready. President Maria Okonkwo listened carefully. They knew we would face this moment. They hoped we wouldn't, but they prepared for it anyway. The Galactic Council formally requested a meeting within the week. This time, when Earth's delegation arrived, they were not shown to the minor members section. They were escorted to the primary council table, seated among the major powers. The Draxian ambassador, who had delivered his ultimatum with such arrogance, now spoke with measured respect. Earth's military capabilities have been recalculated. The council wishes to discuss new arrangements. It was the Kelter representative, however, who asked the question everyone needed answered. "How many carriers will you activate?" President Okonkwo stood. She had spent 3 sleepless nights considering this moment. The decision she made now would define humanity's future. "We will activate 2 more carriers for defensive purposes. The remaining 4 will stay buried, not because we lack the ability to wake them, but because we choose not to. Earth does not seek dominance. We seek security and fair treatment." The council chamber fell silent. It was an unexpected answer. Every major power given such an advantage would have activated all 7 ships and used them to expand their territory. It was simply how the galaxy worked. However, Okonkwo continued, "we will not forget this moment. Earth was threatened simply because we appeared weak. We will not appear weak again. Any aggression toward Earth or our interests will result in the activation of additional carriers. We hope this will never be necessary." She sat down. The message was clear. Earth offered peace, but from a position of strength. Over the following months, the galaxy reorganized itself around this new reality. The Draxians formally withdrew their claim to Earth's asteroid belt and offered a trade agreement instead. The Vorian Confederation proposed technology-sharing partnerships. Even the Kelter Dominion, after their ships were returned fully repaired, approached Earth about joint security operations, 2 more supercarriers were excavated and activated. The Prometheus and the Valkyrie joined the Atlas and Earth's defense fleet, 3 ships, each one powerful enough to face an entire battle group alone. It was enough that Lieutenant James Walker served as a pilot aboard the Atlas. He had volunteered for the assignment the day after the ship first launched, driven by a need to be part of this moment in history. Now, 3 months into his posting, he walked through the ship's memorial hall during his off-duty hours. The names were engraved on a wall of black stone, thousands of them. Engineers, scientists, construction workers, soldiers, everyone who had built this ship 200 years ago. Most had died never knowing whether their work mattered. They had built these carriers hoping they would rust away in the darkness, unused and unnecessary, but they had been needed. And that fact proved the builders had been right all along. Walker touched the wall gently. Walker ran to the pilot briefing room where Commander Lisa Grant was already pulling up a star chart. "We have a distress signal," she announced. "Small colony world, outer rim. They're under attack by raiders. The colony is Miran, a minor species. Their defense force consists of 3 patrol ships. They're asking for help." The bridge crew looked at each other. This was not a threat to Earth. They had no treaty obligations here. But Walker thought about the wall of names, about people who had built something powerful, hoping it would be used wisely. "Request permission to respond," Commander Grant said over the comm. General Hayes' voice came back immediately. "Permission granted. The Atlas will jump to their location. Show them that strength can be used to protect, not just to threaten." The Atlas's engines hummed to life, its dimensional drive engaged, tearing a hole in space itself. The massive ship disappeared from Earth orbit and reappeared 30 light-years away, emerging between the raiders and their intended victims. The raider ships took one look at the supercarrier and fled at maximum speed. The Miran colony transmitted a message of desperate gratitude. They were a small people, insignificant by galactic standards, with no powerful allies. Until now. Word spread quickly. Earth had intervened to protect a species that offered them nothing in return. It was unprecedented. Other minor civilizations, those who lived in fear of larger powers, began to take notice. Within 6 months, Earth had signed mutual defense agreements with 15 smaller species. The Atlas and its sister ships began regular patrols through regions that had been lawless for generations. Pirates and raiders learned to avoid systems under Earth's protection. The galaxy had not become peaceful overnight. The major powers still competed for resources and influence. But a new rule had emerged, unwritten but clearly understood. Do not prey on those who cannot defend themselves, because Earth is watching. And deep beneath the surface of Earth, in 4 secret locations, the remaining supercarriers waited in silence. Humanity's buried strength, a reminder that sometimes the greatest power is the power you choose not to use. The Atlas jumped to hyperspace again, responding to another distress call from a distant world. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, knowing their mission. They were not conquerors. They were protectors. It was what their ancestors had hoped for when they built these ships 2 centuries ago. In the memorial hall, the names of those ancient builders remained carved in stone, a promise kept across the centuries. They had given humanity the tools to survive. Now humanity had chosen how to use them. The galaxy would never forget that Earth had been silent and dismissed for 50 years. But more importantly, the galaxy would remember what Earth chose to do when it finally found its voice.